My parents made us practice poverty while hoarding millions, then reported our foster mom for spoiling us with sandwiches. When I asked my mom why, she said, "Comfort makes children soft, and soft children die first." I just stared at her. That was 5 months ago. This morning, she was standing outside our new school, scribbling in her poverty journal with shaking hands. When I was 9 and came home with a report card full of A's, my dad made me sleep on the garage floor for a week. He said success made people soft, and we needed to stay prepared for when we lost everything. You see, my parents grew up dirt poor, and even though dad was pulling in 6 figures as a software engineer, they lived in constant terror that poverty would come back for us. They made us practice being poor every single day. We had to take cold showers because hot water was a luxury we might not always have. We wore thrift store clothes to school even though mom had a closet full of designer suits for her law firm job. Every night we practiced different scenarios of destitution. Monday was hunger practice. We'd eat breakfast and then nothing else all day while our parents cooked elaborate meals for themselves. They'd eat in front of us, telling stories about their own childhood hunger, how their empty stomachs had made them strong. They'd describe the exact feeling of malnutrition, the way their ribs showed through their shirts, how they'd chew on grass just to feel something in their mouths. My little sister would cry, and dad would say crying wouldn't fill her belly when we were really poor. Tuesday was cold practice. They'd shut off the heat and make us do homework in winter coats and gloves. Our fingers would go numb trying to hold pencils, and dad would time how long we could last before begging for warmth. Wednesday was sleeping rough. We'd rotate between the floor, the bathtub, and the backyard. Dad had been homeless for 6 months as a teenager, and he'd describe every night in detail while we shivered on the concrete. Thursday was utilities practice. No electricity after sundown. We did everything by candlelight, including homework. Friday was shame practice. We'd wear the same unwashed clothes all week, and mom would drop us at school in their hit-up practice car they kept specifically for this purpose instead of her Mercedes. The weekend was for intensive poverty immersion. Sometimes they'd lock us out of the house with just the clothes on our backs, and we'd have to figure out where to sleep. Other times they'd give us $2 and tell us to feed ourselves for the whole weekend. My brother got good at fishing in the park pond, and I learned which restaurants threw out good food. My sister was only 6, so we'd share our scraps with her. Our actual house was beautiful. 4 bedrooms in a gated community with a pool and a 3-car garage, but we barely got to enjoy it. The pantry was stocked with food we weren't allowed to touch. Our bedrooms had comfortable beds we rarely slept in. The closets were full of clothes with tags still on while we wore the same 3 outfits from Goodwill. Mom kept a poverty journal where she documented our practice sessions. She'd rate our performance on authenticity and survival skills. Getting caught trying to sneak food meant a full day of fasting. Complaining about the cold meant sleeping outside. They weren't angry about it either. They spoke to us calmly about preparation and necessity, while making us dig through dumpsters for cans to recycle. The worst part was invitation practice. When friends invited us places, we had to pretend we couldn't afford it. Birthday parties, movies, school trips, everything. We'd have to look ashamed and make excuses while mom transferred more money into their investment accounts. They made us memorize the exact balance of their bank accounts so we'd know precisely what we were pretending not to have. When I was 15, I got a job at McDonald's and started hiding money. Not for anything fancy, just so I could buy lunch sometimes or get warm socks. Dad found my stash and made the whole family live in the garage for a month. He said I was getting spoiled by abundance and needed a reset. He moved our practice car into the driveway, and we slept on oil-stained concrete while the house sat empty. Mom cooked on a camp stove, and we used a bucket for a toilet. She'd make us empty it ourselves each morning before school, carrying it through the backyard in the dark while neighbors slept. My brother tried to sneak into the house one night for a real bathroom, and dad caught him. He made him wear a sign to school that said, "I'm too soft for poverty," for a whole week. Things escalated when my sister developed pneumonia from sleeping outside in winter. The doctor asked how she got so sick, and she innocently explained our cold practice. Child services showed up the next day. My parents were calm and showed them the beautiful house and full pantry and explained they were teaching us resilience. The social worker noticed we were all underweight and that our bedroom beds looked unused. She found mom's poverty journal with detailed notes about denying us food and making us sleep on concrete. She interviewed us separately, and we were too scared to lie. They removed us that day. The social worker, Mrs. Chen, had kind eyes but tired shoulders. She helped us pack our few belongings while mom stood in the doorway of our beautiful house taking notes in her poverty journal. Dad remained seated at the kitchen table, calmly eating his lunch as if his children weren't being removed from his home. My brother grabbed his school backpack and the fishing pole he'd made from a stick and dental floss. My sister clutched the threadbare teddy bear she'd gotten from Goodwill 3 years ago, the only toy our parents let her keep. I shoved my McDonald's uniform into a garbage bag, along with our 3 changes of clothes each. Mrs. Chen drove us to an emergency placement